Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining and giving your recitation. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा विनीता गंधर्विका माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शीला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय। दिस इज श्यामा गौरी देवी दासी प्रभुशाले।
Hare Krishna, Shama Gauri Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your sweet association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karna Devi Dasi from Lincoln.
Hare Krishna, Indulekha Karuna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your sweet association. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Hare Krishna, is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves before we start recording? Is Prabhuji already there on the call?
Yeah, I'm there, but this is my new laptop. Looks like I don't have permission to share, so I'm seeing how I can.
No, you will get Prabhuji. Now you are co-host. I think you can share now.
No, you have given me the permission. Sharing options. Worst case, I will tell you to share the screen. Is it okay, Mataji, if you can share?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can do that for you.
Okay, so let me give you the link because I just got a new laptop and looks like it doesn't have a Zoom. I mean, there is no permission yet. I have to make some changes. So that's why I'll just quickly give you the link. Chat. Okay, so maybe we'll see if we reach to this document. Otherwise, we'll just go ahead. So let me know whenever you want to start.
Hare Krishna, welcome to Bhakti Sangha Jepa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Acyuta Caitanya Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda, chapter 2, 152 verse onwards. Before I hand over the call, I would like to give a small introduction on Acyuta Caitanya Prabhuji. His Grace Acyuta Caitanya Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj and practicing Krishna consciousness for around 11 years. He serves at ISKCON Silicon Valley as a part of Western Sankirtan team. He conducts a Bhakti Vrishya program and also conducts university preaching in Stanford, Santa Ford and Santa Clara. He also gives the regular classes in Bhakti SF where he preaches to the Western audience. We are very fortunate to have him on the call today. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your valuable time and association this morning. Please take over the call. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for the invitation, especially to Priti Vilasini Mataji for giving the opportunity. I mean, in fact, when she pinged a couple of days back that I have to give a session in Bhakti Sangha Japa group, I was immediately thinking to say no. Because I mean, there are three kinds of people. You see, one is they're waiting that some service can be given and they can do some service, and then second kind of people are they will always be worry of some service should not be like let's say kitchen cooking is happening, they will always be a little far away from the kitchen, otherwise someone will invite them for some service. And third is people who always starts with no, he gain a service. So when I was asked that, I said Bhakti Sangha Japa group. I was already knew about this illustrious group, so I thought I won't be able to give. And but then I thought maybe I'll give a call and I'll explain. And after talking to her on the phone, and she was explaining how nice devotees are in this group and everything, I told her now I'm feeling more intimidated to speak, because I know that Amarendra Prabhu, Gauranga Prabhu had given a series of sessions at Aditya Gadadhar Prabhu's house. And so very exalted speakers and very nice group it is. So then finally I thought, okay, maybe for my own purification, I can speak something on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity. And today we'll just discuss something from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. We'll start first with a prayer. Om Agyan.
The one that you shared here, when I'm clicking on that, it is saying access denied.
Mataji, can you give your email ID? I can change to anyone with a copy. Okay, let me give you a new link. I think it could be some problem. Now see, you will be able to start.
Yes, Prabhuji, now I can do that. Yes, I can see that.
Yeah, okay. So I will also turn on that chapter. By the time we can start the prayers. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyanan Janashalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashtadeshatarine. Vandem Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadatam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Denabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today I was told that we have to start from second chapter and verse number 152. And before just starting, just to give a background on the second chapter. So the point there we are discussing is how some of the Brahmanas, so-called Brahmanas, were disturbed by the Sankirtan movement which was happening. And they said that they will complain to the Muslim king if it's not stopped. So Advaita Acharya got extremely angry. It's called Advaita Simha. He got extremely angry and he thought, we have to invite the Lord to come on this earth, and so that the so-called Brahmanas can understand that what is Sankirtan movement. And then it is mentioned that how Vishwarup came, and then later on, now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is appearing on this material world, and was perfectly timed. It's mentioned that how all the Navadvip, more than hundreds of people were in the sea or in the Ganges. So it was a perfectly timed timing for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to appear. And then there are a series of verses which are glorification of by demigods headed by Lord Brahma. So what I'll do is it is from 152, and while I was reading today, I saw that the section ends at 159. So from 150 to 159, I'll just read those sections, and then after that we'll discuss. Okay. So I'll quickly read from text number 152, chapter 2, Adi Khanda, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Okay. Jaya Jaya Veda Dharma Sadhu Viprapala Jaya Jaya Bhakta Damana Mahakala. All glory is to the protector of Vedic principles, saintly persons and Brahmanas. All glory is to the personification of time, which destroys the non-devotees. In his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.16, Sri Madhvacharya quotes the following words from the Shrutis. He is the Lord, the maintainer, controller, and protector of all universes. He is Lord Vishnu. After Krishna completed his pastimes in this world, the Vedic religious principles, saintly persons, and Brahmanas were bereft of shelter and fell down. Sri Gaura Sundar destroyed the non-Vedic philosophies of Buddhism, Jainism, and logicians' path of argument, and thus protected the prestige of Vedic religious principles, saintly persons, and Brahmanas. Sri Gaura Sundar is like the personification of death, Yamaraj for the non-devotees, such as persons with material desires, fruity workers, and speculators. Text number 153. Jaya Jaya Sarva Satya Mayam Kalevar, Jaya Jaya Ichha Maya Mahamaheshwar. All glories to Supreme Lord who possesses a pure spiritual body. All glories to the fully independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. The body of Sri Gaura Sundar is Satchidananda. All glories to that fully independent personality who is the Lord of Lords. Yei tumi ananta koti brahmandera vasa sei tumi Shri Shachi garbe karila prakash. You are the shelter of innumerable universes, yet you have entered the womb of Mother Shachi Devi. Text number 155. Tomara ye ichha ke bhuji tetar patra srishti sthiti pralaya tomar lila matra. Who can understand your supreme will? Creation, maintenance, and annihilation are simply part of your pastimes. For one who destroys Sakala samsara yandra ichhaya samhare seki kamsa ravana vadite vakyanare. For one who destroys the entire creation simply by his desire, can he not kill Ravana or Kamsa simply by giving an order? Tathapiha dasharata vasudeva ghare avatirna haya vadilata sabare. Still he appeared in the house of Dashrath and Vasudev in order to kill them. While offering prayers to the Lord in the womb, demigods also prayed, O moon-like personality, you have appeared in the ocean-like womb of Sachi. Yet you are shelter of innumerable universes. The Lord is fully independent and able to destroy the entire universe. So simply by his will, demons like Kamsa and Ravana, who are averse to Lord Vishnu, can be killed by a gesture. Nevertheless, as a part of the pastimes, he appeared in the home of Dashrath and sportingly killed Ravana. Killed Ravana by a gesture. Yeah. And he appeared in the home of Vasudev and sportingly killed Kamsa. Verse number 158. Eteke bhuje prabhu tomara karana apani se jana tumi apanara mana. Therefore, my Lord, who can understand the cause of your appearance other than you yourself? The Shvetashvara Upanishad 3.19 states, Saveti Vedyam na cha tasya vetta. He knows everyone, yet no one knows him. Without understanding the purport of this verse, persons whose hearts are attached to false arguments cannot understand the fact that the Lord incarnates according to his own sweet will. In order to bewilder such persons by illusory energy, you remain fully independent and beyond the purview of their mental speculation. In the last verse, Tomar agyaye eka sevak tomar ananta brahmanda pare karite uddhar. By your order, each of your servants can deliver innumerable universes. Vaishnava poet Sri Devaki Nandan Das has sung Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dhare Jane Jane. Each and every one of the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can deliver the entire universe. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So these are sweet verses by demigods, by headed by Indra, headed by Lord Brahma. While I was going through this, what I saw is there were this entire section from 152 to 159 or 158. It is divided into two parts. One is the glorification by the demigods, and second section, that is from around 155, 156. It's a rhetorical question which demigods are asking, that who is greater, or like who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is it's asked in a very rhetorical way. Rhetorical way means basically asking a question, but actually you're not expecting an answer. It's just to create an effect, saying that who don't understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who will not understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So we'll discuss both these sections. So first is glorification. While I was going through this section of glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one thing that came to my mind was deep appreciation for Srila Prabhupada. If we see, we won't have understood what really glorification of Lord means unless and until we would have come across Srila Prabhupada's books. Nowadays, people have different understanding of God, right? For some people, God means gas, oil, defense. For political people, right? For some people, it's a currency note which mentions in God we trust. So for them, that is God. And there is a German philosopher, his name was Friedrich Nietzsche. He had made a very famous statement, God is dead. So in New York, there was a big wall. It was like a graffiti on which it was mentioned, God is dead, signed Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche. And below that, after some years, there was a new statement which was mentioned, Nietzsche is dead, signed God, right? So the point is, people have different understanding of God, but who really God is, who is Krishna, that we came to know through Srila Prabhupada. And what really glorification means, what it means to glorify Krishna. Like there was a Bollywood song, which was long back. The song was like this. It was Deva o Deva, Ganapati Deva, Tumse badkar kaun, Swami tumse badkar kaun. I don't know if you heard this song. It basically means that, oh Lord Ganesha, who is greater than you? Same rhetorical question, basically saying that you are the greatest. So this song had Deva o Deva, Ganapati Deva, Tumse badkar kaun. So we understand. So this itself is a problem. Why? Because in Bhagavad Gita we have been explained that demigod worship, there will be people who does demigod worship, but Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And we also see in Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma is singing, right? Yad Pada Pallavam Yugam Vinidhaya Kumbha Dvandve Pranama Samaye Saganadi Raja Vignan Vihantam Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, right? So it says that Lord Ganesh is holding the lotus feet of Krishna. So that is his glorification, according to Lord Brahma, right? His glorification is that Lord Ganesh is holding the lotus feet of Krishna. And because of that, he's holding the lotus feet of Krishna. He gets the power to annihilate the obstacles that will come in the path of the three worlds. So that is the real glorification. But this song said that you are the greatest, you are the supreme. And then it says, so this statement is still okay. I mean, Bhagavad Gita says that there will be people like this. But the next statement was, और तुम्हारे भक्त जनों में हमसे बढ़कर कौन, Swami हमसे बढ़कर कौन. So immediately, now the song says that, okay, you are the greatest, but among the devotees, I am the greatest. It is completely opposite to what Gaudiya Vaishnav Sampradaya, the teachings are, right? In our teachings, we are said that Patita Pavan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are Patita Pavan, right? And if I'm a fallen soul, and if you don't deliver me, then this name will not be apt for you, right? So the stance that the stage that the teachers, the saints, the acharyas take is that of a fallen soul, right? Out of their humility, compared to what the degradation of Kali Yuga is so much. The glorification is completely muffled. And we see that comparatively what is being taught in Srila Prabhupada's lineage. So I was just thinking on that how just having appreciation for Srila Prabhupada, that actually because of him, we are able to understand really what does glorification really means. And we might think from Srimad Bhagavatam that, oh, these glorifications are again, same glorification. Dhruv Maharaj saying, Kachan Vichinvam Apidivya Ratnam. That, oh, you are giving me broken piece of glass now. but now I've got immortal diamond. And then we see Prahlad Maharaj also praying, and Kunti Maharani, Bhishma Dev. And you will see that there is some consistency in terms of glorifying that you are a maintainer, creator, and a narrator. So we might think, oh, it's the same glorification that is coming again and again. But if we really see, it is the sheer appreciation for Krishna that is coming in the form of words by these great Vaishnavas. So it is very difficult to actually omit these sections, right? They're pouring their heart out in the form of glorification and prayers. Similarly, here also we see the demigods are praying intensely to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he's appearing in this material world. So they're praying and they're glorifying him before his appearance, right? So it's a very, very we are very, very fortunate, and it's Srila Prabhupada's mercy that we got a chance to go through these books, these teachings. In fact, many of us, at least I can tell for myself, I didn't even know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I just came to know, after coming to Krishna consciousness. I'll just share this PPT. Someone asked in the chat to share this PPT on general chat, so I just shared. So it said that Bhagavad Gita are the words of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is the activities of Krishna, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is the mind of Krishna, right? And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that, Mataji, we can minimize this deck for now. I'll let you know when it starts. So, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is the mind of Krishna. And then we see that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is mentioning that Vrindavan Das Thakur, actually from his inspiration, he's writing this. So we understand that Chaitanya Bhagavad is even more glorious, right? And it's because of Srila Prabhupada that we are able to understand these teachings, and especially we are able to appreciate these glorifications instead of hearing the glorifications which are made in Kali Yuga in this kind of setup. So that is one thing. And second thing this theme talks about, this section talks about, is how one cannot understand easily Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is difficult to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What to speak of understanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna? It is difficult to understand the devotees themselves, right? It is mentioned, Yanra Chitte Krishna Prema Koraya Uday Tanra Vakya Kriya Mudra Vigyana Bujay, that it is just impossible to understand a devotee's kriya, activities, vakya, words, and mudra, symptoms of a Vaishnava, Yanra Chitte Krishna Prema Koraya Uday, in whose heart Krishna Prem has already been arisen. It is just difficult to understand the mood of the devotee, then what to speak of Krishna himself. It is just impossible to understand. There's a famous story between a young boy and Srila Prabhupada. So once this young boy comes to meet Srila Prabhupada, and he didn't know that he's A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and he comes and he says that I want to meet Srila Prabhupada. Can you please introduce him? I want to meet him. And then he says, the person who was sitting in the chair, he says that, why you want to meet Srila Prabhupada? So he was Srila Prabhupada himself, but the young boy didn't know. So he said, why you want to meet Srila Prabhupada? He said, oh, I want to meet Srila Prabhupada because he's my guru and I like him very much. And then he says that, why do you like him so much? And he said, the young boy said, because he's a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he said, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He said, the young boy said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you don't know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He's Krishna himself, who has come in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years back. Then the old man, basically Srila Prabhupada, he said that, oh, he's just a devotee of Krishna. He's not Krishna himself. He's just a devotee of Krishna. And the young man, there was a lot of argument back and forth. The young man finally said that you don't speak a word anymore. You don't know anything. You don't speak anymore. And with a lot of anger, this young man said, and Srila Prabhupada started laughing then. And then as soon as he was laughing loudly, all the disciples who were standing outside, they immediately came running. That's exactly what happened. And they saw Srila Prabhupada and they bowed down. And then immediately that young man realized that he's Srila Prabhupada and he also bowed down. And then later on he said, he asked for forgiveness. He asked for sorry, I offended you by chastising you. And then Sri Prabhupada was laughing, I like this chastisement. And he was none other than Radha Govind Maharaj. So we see that sometimes devotees also, great Vaishnavas, they also will show that as if they don't know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So this section says the same thing, that who can understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Brahma, right? Brahma is four-headed Brahma. 4 heads he has, and he has himself taken all the information from Krishna. And then during Brahma Vimohan Leela, he says, Janantaiva janantu kim bhaktya name prabho manaso vapusho vacho vaibhavam tavagochara. He says, there will be a lot of men, Janantaiva jananta. There will be a lot of men who might say that, I know Krishna, I know Krishna. Like sometimes we go for book distribution and we ask them to take Bhagavad Gita, and they say, Arey, Bhagavad Gita, I know Bhagavad Gita. What is Bhagavad Gita? I know. And then we ask them that, which chapter is your favorite? They'll say chapter 19th. Right? So the point is, Brahma is saying, Jananta eva janantu, that there will be a lot of people who might say that, I know Krishna. But Kim Bahuktya na me Prabhu. But let me tell you what is my stance. I think we cannot understand Krishna. We cannot understand Krishna. Manaso, Vapusho, Vacho. Right? Which is, as far as your opulences are concerned, and speech, Vapusho, Vacho, it is just beyond my mind, body, and words. It is, I cannot fathom it. I cannot fathom it. So this is the verdict of Lord Brahma. And then he says that, why is that? Who can get then who can understand Krishna? Then he says, Athapite deva padambu jadvaya prasada leshanugrita evahi janati tattvam bhagwan mahimno na chanya eko pichiram vichinvan. He says, prasada leshanugrita. He says, only those person who has got your mercy can actually understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or who can understand Krishna. So who can understand Krishna? One who has got the mercy of Krishna, right? And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's incarnation is very, very rare, very, very rare. And we are just positioned in the perfect timing, right? It's a unique kind of incarnation. In all of the incarnations, if you see, you run towards God, right? In all of the incarnations, you will run towards God. But in this incarnation, the God is running towards you. Right? So it's a unique kind of race, right? Unique kind of race to get the grace for the people who are disgraced, to get Krishna's embrace, right? So Lord Chaitanya is actually running behind the people to give them a embrace. So it's a unique kind of race by this incarnation, Gaur Chaitanya, Gaur Chandra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So now the point is, what is the greatest mercy or sacrifice? When you want to give someone mercy, it's you have to understand that you have to give sacrifice. You have to do some sacrifice. Oh, Raj Prabhu is mentioning, could you please repeat, Prabhuji? Which section?
Prabhu, grace.
Yeah,
that was beautiful.
I was just mentioning that it's a unique kind of race. Why? Because it's a unique kind of race to give grace for people who are disgraced. Disgraced, basically fallen people, right? And to get the embrace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So it's a unique kind of race. So now when you give someone mercy, obviously for Krishna, there is no sacrifice. He doesn't have to do sacrifice. But in this material world, if you want to give someone mercy, or if you want to do something for someone, there should be some sacrifice, right? You have to sacrifice something. Nothing comes for free, right? We say there are no free lunches. So even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he came in this material world, he also showed the world that to give some mercy, you have to do some sacrifice, right? And what was the biggest sacrifice that he did? It was one of the saddest pastime. Saddest in the sense that obviously it was transcendental, but it was saddest for his followers, his relatives, Mother Shachi, and his young wife, and all of the friends and well-wishers. And that was the Sannyasa Leela, right? Mataji, can we go to, now we can go to that deck, that presentation that was there. Just, this is from Chaitanya Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mataji, if you can share that PPT. So now we are discussing a little bit about the Sannyasa Leela, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is getting shown, that how he was so merciful. Yeah, so this is from Adi Leela 7:31-32. Okay. Yeah, so we'll just read. Taha dekhi Mahaprabhu kore na chintana, jagat dubaite ami karilu yatana. Keha keha edaila pratigyaha ila bhangata sabha dubaite patiba kichuranga. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very disturbed. What is his disturbance? That he's seeing the Mayavadis and others were fleeing, right? We are talking about racing. People are racing away, but Chaitanya is racing towards them. So seeing that Mayavadis and others are racing away, Lord Chaitanya thought, I wanted everyone to be immersed in this inundation of love of Godhead, but some of them have escaped. Therefore, I shall devise a trick to drown them also. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very anxious, right? He's chintan, he's doing chintan, he's thinking that how can I drown all these Mayavadis into the love of Godhead, right? And he says, Keha keha edaila. It's Mumbai language. It's there is a similar word. It's called yeda. Yeda basically means someone who is out of place, pagal. So here also Srila Prabhupada is saying the same thing. I mean, Krishnadas Kaviraj Govinda Swami is saying the same thing. Yeda ila means escape. One who is thinking he doesn't want to be in this place. So he says, Keha keha eda ila pratigya haila bhangata sabha dubaite patiba kichuranga. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here is thinking that how can he bring everyone to this love of Godhead. So he's chintan, he's actually thinking, what can he do? So we'll see the next verse. Yeah, this is the previous verse. It just talks about that how there are different impersonalists, impersonal fruity workers, false logicians, blasphemers, non-devotees, lowest among the student community are very expert in avoiding Krishna consciousness movement. And then the verse comes that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is thinking, how can he bring all of them in the love of Godhead? Can we go to the next verse? Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll go to the next verse. Sorry, purport of this 31-32. You can do the next. Yeah. So in this purport, Chaitanya Srila Prabhupada mentions about how the devotee is actually trying hard to bring everyone to Krishna consciousness, because that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also was trying. Here is an important point. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to invent a way to capture the Mayavadis and others who did not take interest in Krishna consciousness movement. This is a symptom of an acharya. An acharya who comes for the service of the Lord cannot be expected to conform to a stereotype, for he must find the ways and means by which Krishna consciousness may be spread. Sometimes jealous persons criticize the Krishna consciousness movement because it engages equally both boys and girls in distributing love of Godhead. Not knowing that boys and girls in countries like Europe and America mix very freely, these fools and rascals criticize the boys and girls in Krishna consciousness for intermingling. But these rascals should consider that one cannot suddenly change a community's social customs. However, since both the boys and girls are being trained to become preachers, those girls are not ordinary girls, but are as good as their brothers who are preaching Krishna consciousness. Therefore, to engage both boys and girls in fully transcendental activities is a policy intended to spread Krishna consciousness movement. These jealous fools who criticize the intermingling of boys and girls will simply have to be satisfied with their own foolishness, because they cannot think of how to spread Krishna consciousness by adopting ways and means that are favorable for this purpose. The stereotyped methods will never help spread Krishna consciousness. Therefore, what we are doing is perfectly by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for it is he who proposed to invent a way to capture those who strayed from Krishna consciousness. So we see that here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about who is an acharya. Acharya is one who actually comes out of this stereotype and brings new ways to spread Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada used to say that everywhere I went, I got opposition. When Srila Prabhupada was in Mumbai, in Juhu, he got opposition from municipalities and at Naya and everything. When he was in Mayapur, he got opposition from his own god brothers because Srila Prabhupada changed a lot of rules, right? Just because the way the Americans and Europeans and the Kali Yuga was progressing, he changed some rules. So the god brothers of his opposed. When he went to West, there was opposition by the deprogrammers because they thought that Srila Prabhupada is brainwashing. And when he was in Vrindavan, he was opposed by the caste Goswamis because the non-Indians were getting initiated and they were becoming sannyasis and they were pujaris. So Srila Prabhupada got opposition from everywhere, but still he continued the movement of spreading Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan. And that's why he is considered an Acharya, because that is a symptom of an Acharya who cannot be expected to conform to a stereotype. Right? They always find new ways to spread Krishna consciousness. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also doing the same thing. Now, what decision he had to make to do this was in the next slide. Let me go to the next one. No, previous. Yeah. Etabali mane kichu kariya vichar sannyasa ashama prabhu koila angikar. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decides that now what can I do so that they can come in, they can take up Krishna consciousness. So he says this, does the Lord accepted the sannyas order of life out of full consideration. What does renunciation mean? Renunciation means that you have something and you want to renounce it, right? You want to renounce it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everything is his, right? So, but he renounced everything and he took the sannyas order just to give Krishna Prem to others. And it was just none of them who were there could take that. Right? Chachi Mata was crying, the young wife was crying, all of his followers were crying because it was a great sacrifice. Right? But this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is bestowing his mercy towards people who are not taking up Krishna consciousness. Right? That is the greatest mercy. So, yeah. In this section, since Srila Prabhupada, if you see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, and after that, in his lineage, nobody took sannyas. Everybody were taking Babaji's wish. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, then Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. Everybody took Babaji wish, which is Paramahamsa. But then it was Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, again an Acharya, who changed the game and he introduced back sannyas. And from there, the sannyas started and Babaji's wish was sort of no longer there. And there is a reason behind it why he did. That Srila Prabhupada explains in one of the sessions, in one of the lectures in Mayapur. We'll go through that lecture. Anjay, can we go to the next slide? So this explains that why Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur started sannyas culture again. So Vaishnava position is not very easy thing above all qualities. Therefore, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur introduced not to become an imitation of Rupa Goswami. Understand, these Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they were all Babaji's wish. The Goswamis of Vrindavan, they are Paramahamsas. And in Vrindavan, you will find so-called Babajis. They have imitated the dress of Rupa Goswami, half loincloth, but a bidi in the mouth. What is this nonsense? Rupa Goswami used to smoke bidi, laughter chuckles. Not only that, you will find in Vrindavan, so many Rupa Goswami are making bidis. Have you seen in the Gopinath Bazaar? They are making trade, bidis and shameless. Therefore, my Guru Maharaj introduced this. So Srila Prabhupada is saying this in a lecture for Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. Therefore, my Guru Maharaj introduced this. Of course, sannyas is there in the Vaishnava. All the acharyas, there were sannyas. But later on, it degraded that these bidi smoker, ganja smoker, they imitated Rupa Goswami. Therefore, to purify, Guru Maharaj introduced the sannyas system below the Paramahamsas. So sannyas is basically Parivaracharya. Not that artificial means I become Paramahamsa. No. When one is, the sannyas stage has got 4 stages. Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajacharya and Paramahamsa. Kutichaka, when one takes sannyas. These are the processes. He is not practiced to beg from door to door Therefore, in the beginning, he makes a cottage outside the village, and the foodstuff comes from his home. But he has no connection, because by Vanaprastha, he has already left home, and by Sannyas completely. But taking prasadam from home, that is called Kutichaka. Then when he is practiced, he goes from door to door, and that is called Bahudaka. And then when he is still more practiced, he becomes a preacher, Parivraja Kacharya. Goes from country to country, state to state for preaching. And after preaching, when the preaching is advanced to some extent, then he sits down in a place as Paramahamsa. That is called Paramahamsa. Different stages. Not that all of a sudden one becomes Paramahamsa and BD also. Not like that. Paramahamsa stage is not to be imitation. So to stop the imitation, Srila Bhaktisarana Thakur introduced this system, Sannyas. He personally became Sannyas, and to many of his disciples, he gave Sannyas. This is from Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam lecture, October 21, 1974, Mayapur. Just a side note that why Sannyas stopped and then again it started from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy was in the form of first he took Sannyas. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives mercy, what happens to the receiver who accepts that mercy, right? That is mentioned in the next slide. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So this is from 10th chapter of Madhya Lila, verse number 119. Helo dhunita khedaya vishadaya pronmila damodaya shamyat shastra vivadaya rasadaya chittarpiton madaya shashwat bhakti vinodaya samadaya madhurya mayadaya Shri Chaitanya daya nidhe tava daya bhuyadamondo daya. So understand what we are discussing. We are basically discussing that one cannot understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For understanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you need his mercy. Right? In the case of Rupa Goswami, where he writes on the note, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is wondering, how can Rupa Goswami understand my heart? Right? And then it was told that because you have given your mercy. So who can understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? One who has received the mercy. And this verse talks about that when you get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, three things happen. He gives mercy in three ways. So we'll see. O ocean of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy. Right? So first thing what happens is easily drives away all kinds of material lamentation. Helo dhunita khedaya vishudaya. So first thing that happens is all the material lamentation, the moroseness goes away by making everything pure and blissful. Indeed, your mercy awakens transcendental bliss and covers all material pleasures. And then by your auspicious mercy, then what happens? Second thing happens. Samya Shastra Vivadaya. Quarrels and disagreements arising among different scriptures are vanquished. Second thing that happens is the confusion that we have within different scriptures, that gets vanquished. And third thing, what happens? Rasadaya chittar pitonmadaya. Your auspicious mercy pours forth transcendental mellows and thus causes the heart to jubilate. So first thing that happens is the moroseness goes away. Second thing that happens is we get clarity. And third thing that happens is our heart becomes full of jubilation. We become extremely happy, sublime. So these are the three things that happen when one receives the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So we'll just discuss about some of the pastimes now, about the different things by which one gets mercy and how they experienced these kind of different things, which is removing of moroseness, getting clarity, and third is heart getting filled with jubilation. So when I was preparing this PPT, in exams, sometimes we do, right? Last moment, we are filling up the exam sheets. So I was filling this PPT just 10 minutes before the class. So this PPT is this much only. Now we'll go directly from, we'll go to vedabase.com. Mataji, can you share Vedabase link? Is it possible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Mataji. So the first first thing, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is bestowed is by removing the moroseness, right? And first example that I was thinking is of the Kurma Brahman, right? So we'll go to chapter number 7 from Badya Leela, verse number 126. We'll go to Madhya Leela and chapter 7. Mataji, you can share the screen, which is...
Yeah, Prabhuji, computer is a little slow. I'm getting it.
No problem, no problem. Yeah. So by the time I can just read and we can discuss the next, whenever it's ready, we can discuss that. So here, Kurma Brahman is saying that you please give me favor because I cannot live in this material world anymore. This material misery is too much, which is Vishay Taranga. He says, Kripa kara Prabhu more yanto masange sahite na pari dukha Vishaya Tarange. That this entire material misery is too much for me and I cannot live with it. You please give me some favor, right? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that in the next verse, he says, 127th verse, he says, Prabhu kohe aiche baat kabu na kahi ba aise mat kaho. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, don't say like this, O Kurma Brahman. Griye rahi Krishna naam nirantara laiva. Don't be morose. Don't be morose. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, don't speak like that again. Better to remain at home and chant the holy name of Krishna always. And you see this theme of remaining at home and chanting the holy name of Krishna. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also telling him that don't speak like that again. Better to remain at home and chant the holy name of Krishna. Okay, can we go to the next verse? So then he says, Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh amar agya kuru haya tara ei desha. Then he says, instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. So then he says that just first be at home, chant the holiness of the Lord, and third, then give Krishna Prem to others, right? Follow the orders and become spiritual master and liberate everyone in this world. So first is apply and then supply, right? First apply Krishna consciousness and then supply Krishna consciousness. Basically give Krishna consciousness to others. So Kurma Brahman, we see here, he was extremely morose. He was extremely morose, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving him the formula or mercy, how he can remove his moroseness. Similarly, in this same chapter, we have Vasudeva Datta, right? Can we go to verse number 148? He was a leper. So what happens is, because he was leper, he was suffering. And because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's embrace, what happens is, his leper, that disease goes away. Now Vasudeva Datta is morose. Imagine, before leper, he was not so much morose as he was morose after curing his disease. And why was he morose? He says that now I am cured. That means I will have pride now because you have given your mercy. If you give your mercy, obviously you will feel like, oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given his mercy to me, to me. So Vasudeva Datta was like, I will become proud. I don't want to be in such a situation. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Krishna upadeshikara jive renistar achirate Krishna toma karibena angikar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also then advised Vasudeva to preach about Krishna and thus liberate living entities. As a result, Krishna would very soon accept him as a devotee. So here also Vasudeva Datta is being bestowed mercy by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And again, it's the same theme that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells him, that first apply Krishna consciousness in your life and then supply and then give Krishna consciousness to others. And that is the way to remove the moroseness. A lot of times we think that we have a lot of problems, right? We have a lot of problems in life. But Vaishnav says that book distribution is the highest sadhana. And actually, when we go out for book distribution, we realize that actually our problems is not much. People are really suffering much more, right? So here we see that actually when we give Krishna consciousness to others, our moroseness actually goes away. There's a story, it was in Moscow. So one guy, basically he was a devotee. He used to always walk through the same road, and basically he was driving, and every time he used to drive the car, there used to be a policeman standing nearby, and this devotee used to always smile at him. So the policeman used to always wonder, this policeman, that why is he always smiling at me? I don't understand why is he smiling at me. So this devotee used to always smile, right? And it is rare, right? I mean, when we see policemen, even if we have not done anything, still we will always be little scared. Like whenever I come from India, and as I'm in the airport while coming to my home, I'm always scared that, oh, they should not catch, although I've not done anything. But just sometimes it just happens, right? And while we are driving, and if on the side there is police car driving, we will just be more careful. So this guy was, instead, he was smiling at this policeman, this devotee, and this policeman used to always wonder that why is he smiling at me? Is there something wrong? Is he something is wrong? So then one day policeman thought that maybe he's drunk. So when someone is drunk, he's not in his senses. So his policeman decides that tomorrow when he comes, I will check him. So again, the devotee was driving, and he saw policeman. He was smiling at him, and then the policeman immediately he said him to wait, and then he said, I want to test you. So he had an alcohol analyzer. He wanted to test him. He tested him, and then he saw that there was no alcohol, right? Sometimes we see, right, at the end, at the very late night, when 5-6 boys are going in the car, then they are being tested, even if they are not drunk or something. So like that, this policeman also thought. So he saw that he was not drunk, so he let him go. The devotee but understood that why he stopped me and he wanted to test me. So then while the devotee was leaving, the devotee gave even more bigger smile to policeman, hinting him that it's not because of alcohol, but it's because of Krishna Prem. Right? Srila Prabhupada says that chant and be happy, right? But before that, actually, Indradhan Maharaj said that chant and be happy came later on. Before that, the statement was chant and make your life sublime. Chant Hare Krishna and your life would be sublime. So that was the mantra that.
Stay high forever.
Sorry? Yeah.
Stay high forever.
Yeah, stay high forever. So this is what Srila Prabhupada used to say. And then this is how one actually can remove their moroseness, by giving Krishna consciousness to others, right? Once there was a Christian Pope, he said that you can preach all day and sometimes you can speak, right? You can preach all day, but sometimes you can speak. It basically means that if you're happy, just seeing you, others will take up Krishna consciousness. And sometimes you can give, preach also. Basically, you can speak also. So just by devotees becoming happy, others feel that there is something that I also want to become like this. I also want to become happy. So the next section. So first thing that happens is the moroseness gets removed, and we see the story of Vasudev Datta and Kurma Brahman. The second thing that happens is one gets clarity of scriptures. One understands that what exactly the scriptures are explaining. And in that we see the story of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, right? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he thinks that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not Krishna. He's just a great sannyasi, right? It's the same thing that demigods are also saying, right? That who can understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also in 6th chapter, Madhya Leela, he's saying that, oh, one cannot understand. I mean, I know that he's a great saint, but he's not God. I can make him to a higher position. I can bring him. Right? He says like that. But then there is discussion between Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? And after that entire discussion, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains him that actually what is Krishna Prem, who is Krishna, right? And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya completely gets convinced, and then he says that it's your mercy that I got clarity of scriptures. And then in one place he got so much ecstatic in Krishna Prem that he changed the verse also, right? We know Bhakti Pade and Mukti Pade, Sudhaya Bhak. So that's what Sarvam Bhattacharya. In fact, if you see Sarvam Bhattacharya, Keshav Bharati, Prakashananda Saraswati, they all have similar way of deliverance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered all these three people in similar way. They all three had their own concoctions, but they all were delivered in a similar way, and something for us to learn in how to spread Krishna consciousness. So the first thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does is he gives the platform of expression. He gives them the platform to speak, right? So you see Sarvam Bhattacharya speaking for 7 days. Then the Keshav Bharati, his speaking poem, right? 100 verses. And then third, Prakashananda Saraswati. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives a platform of expression. And then after listening, then he gives the platform of exchange, where now he's speaking what is Krishna consciousness. So first he hears platform of expression, and then he speaks platform of exchange. And then what happens is he gives the platform of experience, right? We see Sarvam Bhattacharya sees the Chaturbhuja form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Similarly, we see Keshav Bharati also seeing Mother Saraswati in his dream. We see Prakashananda Saraswati seeing the Brahman effulgence and thinking he is not ordinary personality, right? So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he does is he gives a platform of experience. So first platform of exchange, platform of expression, then platform of exchange. Third is platform of experience. And finally, he gives platform of evolution, where they get evolved from their own concoction to the understanding of Krishna Prem, right? So all these three personalities had a similar theme. They were confused in the Shastras, but then they got clarity of Shastras. Comes from expression to exchange to experience, and finally evolution, right? So like this, we see that the second thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestows the mercy is through clarity of scriptures. And finally, the third thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives mercy is Rasadaya Chittor on Amodaya, which basically means that he bestows in the heart the jubilation for the devotee. And devotee becomes so jubilant that he forgets everything, but he just wants to take Krishna consciousness. And that is the story of Raghunath Das Goswami, right? Raghunath Das Goswami, the mother of Raghunath Das Goswami is telling to his father that can we bind him in the house? Can we bind him? And then father says, you can't see him. He's already being jubilant in the name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He will not be bound now. He will leave the place, right? So we see that once the heart becomes jubilant. Similarly, we see Sarvam Bhattacharya only. He's playing in the water along with Ramananda Rai. And Gopinath Acharya is saying he's the same Sarvam Bhattacharya who used to talk about Shastras and used to talk about Vedanta philosophy. He's now playing like a child in the water. And then Gopinath Acharya says, it's because you have given your mercy to him, right? He says that even by the drop of your mercy, the big mountains and oceans can also get collapsed. These two are just small hills compared to them. So definitely they can get the mercy. So we see that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is bestowed, and that's how one can understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? I'll just tell one short incident that happened, that how we can understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So because of COVID, we had stopped. I mean, Mataji was mentioning that we had sometimes Bhakti Vriksha at our house. So from 2020 or something, we had almost stopped Bhakti Vriksha. And then in around 2021, October, November time, me and my wife decided that, okay, we will start Bhakti Vriksha again. And just one day before, basically, we usually have it on Thursday. On Wednesday evening, we told our group that tomorrow we will have, short notice it is, but tomorrow we will have our Bhakti Vriksha, first Bhakti Vriksha. So, and then what happened is we said, okay, we will keep it short. We will not have many people because it's, just COVID is getting over. Omicron had not yet started. So, and we thought that, we'll have less people, we'll have mask mandated and all that. Prashadam will be to go and everything. And then the next day, Thursday came, and suddenly at 4 o'clock, we hear a knock on the door. And when I opened the door, it was a lady. She was asking that, do you have Bhagavad classes here? And if you have, when is it? And for a second, I was like completely shocked that from where did she come to know? I mean, yesterday evening only we just announced. How come it spread? And I asked, how did you come to know? Then she said that 1 year back, my parents had come. I mean, my parents had come to California to stay for a couple of months. And that time it was a December time, they were distributing Bhagavad Gita. So Vaishnav Prabhu says that wherever you go, you just give copy of Bhagavad Gita. And so my parents just gave to this lady, and they said to her that in this lane there is one house where we stay, and we used to have weekly Bhagavad Gita class, but it stopped. But when COVID is over, then we'll start the Bhagavad Gita class again. So that time you can come, but for now you take this book Bhagavad Gita. So that lady, in that entire lane, we have 20 houses in this lane. So out of the 20 lane, she knocked this door only, and then she asked that, I just thought today that maybe I should ask when is Bhagavad Gita starting. And it was the same day that we were planning to start Bhagavad Gita in the evening. So then I immediately ran inside. I called my wife and I said, can you give, because I had my office meeting. So then she gave evenings timings, and then she joined the Bhagavad Gita. But that time I told Manjari, I mean my wife, that how Krishna's mercy and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is. I mean, that very day she came to ask for if there's Bhagavad Gita class. So that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, and we are very, very fortunate that we are able to experience, or at least go through these chapters, go through these verses, where we can see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, how they are blissful in Krishna Prem. Okay, it's 9 o'clock, sharp 9 o'clock. I was told to speak till 9, so sharp 9. Okay, I'll stop here. Thank you very much for patiently hearing. And again, please forgive me if I spoke something. It was just okay. So thank you, Hare Krishna. If anyone has any reflections, Vaishnav says that there can be two things. It can be comments, reflections, or it can be questions. Reflection can help everyone else, and questions as well. So anything that we can have for 10 minutes at for Pritima. Oh, sorry, she's here only. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. It was such a pleasure to hear you, Prabhu. What a fantastic class. And as expected, all the analogies, the real life experiences, the stories, and very, very scriptural references with very relevant stories from scriptures again, and your way of presenting with different acronyms and different ways of recollecting the points. So thank you so much. Such a power-packed class. Very honored to have you on this call, Prabhu. I don't have any questions, but I'll let the rest of them take over. So thank you so much.
Thank you much for the opportunity. But to be honest, I'm very intimidated by this. It's a very, very illustrious group. So yeah, amazing what you all are doing. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. All glories to Prabhupada. All glories to you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for such a beautiful class, for presenting it so nicely. And special part was like the way you made so many approaches, as Raj Prabhu kept on mentioning in the chat also. So it was so nice, and especially when you were quoting it from Chaitanya Charitamrita, substantiating those points. That was wonderful, Prabhu. So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for coming on call, for accepting the request, and hope to seek your association more often. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams.
Yeah, Chaitanya Charitamrita is very sweet. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada used to say that it's sweet as Rasgulla.
Yes.
And because of your mercy that I got a chance to also read Chaitanya Bhagavata. I was always a little scared. I thought, okay, let me just stick to Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. But yeah, thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for such a beautiful, beautiful class. Very nice, sweet pastimes also. Thank you. Hare Krishna, devotees, is anybody having any questions? Please go ahead. Any questions, any realizations for Prabhuji? Please go ahead. I really like that the quote that Raj Prabhu was asking again. It was so nice, Prabhuji. I will go on YouTube and I will just play it back again and write it on the notes. It was so nice the way you put it together.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's very nice class. Very nicely you presented everything. There is no question. It was very beautiful. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for waiting.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Agro Shishra Prabhupada, and Guru Maharaj. I'm sorry, I'm in and out listening to your class because I'm babysitting, but it was beautiful, especially when you were doing the quote about how Prabhupada was saying that he has changed different things. The Acharya has to come, and according to time, place, and circumstances, he put certain things in place, like he was saying how these boys and girls together are preaching. And it reminded me of the Facebook post that I just read yesterday with Yamuna and Srila Prabhupada, where she was explaining how it was Srila Prabhupada, his godbrothers, herself, and somebody else in the back. I can't remember who it was. And she was saying how they were talking about women and how women are this and women are that, and kind of joking. You can't trust a woman or something. And he turned around and looked at her as they got out of the car. I'm really paraphrasing it, but he says, "What do you think?" And she said, "Yes, Srila Prabhupada, what you say is true. Women are like that. That's the women mentality." And then he looked at her and said, "But you're different. You're a devotee." So he was able to see, and please go read the action. I'll try to post it so people can read it, because it's very beautiful. Because see, Prabhupada did not see the body of anybody or anything. He only saw that spirit soul within. And I'm just thinking, and because of that, I mean, he came down to do that service just he did that service just for Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? To bring back the soul. So I was just meditating upon that whole thing, the sweetness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he wanted to get everybody. He didn't want to leave anybody behind, right? Don't leave anybody behind. Well, that's what Srila Prabhupada was doing, exactly like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it just came back to me of the little that I was able to hear in between. But thank you so much. It was very sweet.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
much. Yeah, who can think of sannyasi conducting marriages? Srila Prabhupada did it, right? Again, for the benefit of the devotees, right? So, and it is mentioned, right, that when he came back from, he had to go to India because of health reasons, and when he came back, he got saris for his disciples, right, for his daughters. So we see that an Acharya comes up with new ways. Paramahamsa ji, Hare Krishna. You want to?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. What a wonderful class with so many beautiful pastimes. You just made it so much interesting, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I just had this one little question, is that what is the difference between Sannyas and Babaji Vesh? I couldn't get that clearly. If you can please elaborate.
Yeah, yes, Mataji, thank you. First of all, I just want to say that just whatever I'm speaking, I've just whatever I heard from various devotees, I'm just speaking on that. Nothing. I have my own. So, and second thing regarding that's the lecture that Srila Prabhupada was mentioning. It is in the PPT. So I shared the PPT. I couldn't complete that entire thing, but whatever I could put in the PPT. So in that, there's a section where Srila Prabhupada is giving a class in Mayapur in October 1974, where he explains that there are 4 levels of sannyas: Kutichaka, Bhaudaka, Parivrajaka, and 4th is Paramahamsa. Paramahamsa is considered as Babaji Vesh. So Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they all took Babaji Vesh. But then what happened was, it was that Babaji Vesh was getting misused by some people during that time in Vrindavan. And that's what Srila Prabhupada mentions. And then That's why he says that my Guru Maharaj, that is Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, Srila Prabhupada mentions is my Guru Maharaj. So Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur revoked this Babaji Vesh, and instead then he brought Sannyas, which is Parivrakacharya. Parivrakacharya basically means one who preaches by going place to place. And Paramahamsa means basically means one who sits and does bhajan. So that's what Srila Prabhupada mentions in that lecture. And I have shared the link already. I can share again also.
Yeah, please, Prabhuji. I'll copy it and paste it so that, I can read it, refer it
In
to
this,
it.
I think it was a last slide.
Okay.
And obviously this PPT also has mistakes. I mean, when you write last minute paper, you make mistakes. So same thing has happened. I missed some slides. So forgive me for that. Yeah.
So Prabhuji, so as I understand, Babaji Vesh is for really very exalted devotees who, are kind of sure that what their aim is, and like the Goswamis, they were very, very extremely exalted.
Yes. And I mean, what you're saying is correct, but there is just one caveat to it. I just want to add one thing. Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur used to say that, so that is Bhajananandi, one who sits and does bhajan.
Yeah.
But then there is Ghoshanandi who does preaching. And then Srila Prabhupada writes in one of the purport that in ISKCON movement that he wants that devotees actually to take Ghoshanandis. They have to come to the level of Madhyamadikari. So Uttamadikari is basically, they don't differentiate between who is bad and who is right and who is wrong. They don't differentiate between them. I mean, non-devotees and devotees. But Madhyamadikari understands that. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that one has to come to the level of Madhyamadikari to preach. For preaching, that is needed to differentiate. So similarly, for preaching, one has to come to the level of Parivrakacharya, but that doesn't mean that they cannot do bhajan. So Srila Prabhupada, even when he was in Vrindavan, I mean, what was his schedule? Morning, he used to go to various temples, take darshan, then eat prasadam, full day writing. I mean, this is bhajan, right? And when he came in United States, he said that those were the blissful times in Radha Damodar temple. So, but one has to come to the level of Madhyamadikari to preach, because one has to differentiate them. Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you. I'll refer back to your slide. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams to you.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam, Mataji. Okay, it's 9:11. So we will stop. I know many have their maybe offices and all, but thank you again for the opportunity, and thank you for patiently listening to Chaitanya Bhagavata and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, we will stop. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hey, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful class. We look forward for your association again and again in such a beautiful class. Hare
Krishna.
Thank you, dear devotees, for joining today's class. We'll meet again tomorrow.